Hi and welcome to this ForNAV coffee break. My name is René Brummel. I'm a product specialist at ForNAV and I will be your presenter today. As this coffee break is live, you can ask your questions via the GoToWebinar question window. We will answer them at the end of the coffee break. Today we're going to demonstrate that with ForNAV you don't need to spend ages trying to get your captions to fit. To do this, we will edit our report captions and see what happens when we use new captions that don't really fit in the text boxes on the standard reports. We will also show you how to change all your sales documents at once. All the techniques we will demonstrate today are valid for any ForNAV report in any extension. To demonstrate that with ForNAV you don't need to spend ages trying to get your captions to fit, I'm going to use these steps. The prerequisites, what do I need to get going? In step 2 I will change my captions. In step 3 I will fit my captions to the text boxes. In step 4 I will change all of my sales documents at once. Let's start with the first step. Today I will be working in a Business Central Cloud environment with the Business Central 2021 Wave 1 release. I've installed the ForNAV customizable report pack and I've executed a step-by-step wizard from the assisted setup to get started. Of course, everything I do today is also available on the Business Central on-premise environment. I also have the ForNAV Designer installed on my PC. The ForNAV Designer can be downloaded from the ForNAV website. With ForNAV you don't need to spend ages trying to change your report captions. You don't need to be a developer either. You can change your report captions straight inside Business Central. So let's go and have a look and change something. We open Business Central and find a search box. We can find a page called ForNAV Language. And the ForNAV language is a page we can use to change texts, most notably captions in our reports. To change captions, I will switch over to the Objects view, and in the Objects view, if I click New, I can change a standard built-in Business Central caption. I will change one on the sales invoice line with a new text that I would like. So let's say I want to change the number caption to number, and I want to change that for Dutch as well. I'm in a Dutch sandbox, so let's change the number field. Let's make it number, which is Dutch for number. And after doing this, you will notice I have these two new captions. I can preview my report. The first one is a Dutch report, and you will notice that number has now been changed to number. And if I run this for an English report, which is this one, you will notice that number NO dot has now been changed to number, which is what I wanted. So this is all very nice and easy. Number is something that fits neatly inside the column that I'm working on. But what happens if I change the number to something, a text, that doesn't quite fit? So let's go and have a look. Let's go back to our ForNAV language. And let's change it to a numerator, because you can. And let's do something in Dutch as well. Vernummeraar is not really a Dutch word, but most of you won't speak Dutch anyway, so that doesn't matter. So I change it to something that's a bit longer, that won't fit inside my column. And if I preview my report again, let's grab a Dutch one first. You will notice two things. First of all, that ForNAV breaks the word up and switches it over to the second row. So really it tries to make space, only it doesn't break the word up in a logical place. I would like to break it up in between the two M's, which is what you do in Dutch. If I run this for English, you will notice that it just pushes the R to the next line. So I'm happy with the breaking off and moving to the next line, but I would like to break these captions off in a sensible place. Now fortunately with ForNAV we can do that, and we can do that inside our ForNAV language table as well, because we can add something that is called a soft hyphen. And you can simply add that in a sensible place. So let's add it here for English, and let's add it here for Dutch. And this soft hyphen tells ForNAV where to break off the word, if it needs to break it off at all. So if it doesn't need to break off the word, you won't see the soft hyphen. If it does need to break off the word, ForNAV now knows where to break it off. So let's try that. You will notice right now that ForNAV breaks off vernumerair in between the two M's, which is where I told ForNAV where to break it off, and it breaks it off and it places it automatically on the second line. So really ForNAV fits your captions automatically without having to mess about with it. And just to be complete, we will show this for English as well. And in English we said please break off the words after the E before the R, so it does that as well. It now breaks off enumerator and splits it over 2 pages. So now we know how to change captions. We will go and have a look at how to change something when we really don't have enough space. So let's look at the options to automatically fit our captions. And to demonstrate this, I'm going to add a new caption in English, because we've done the translation stuff. And I want to change my document date caption. And I'm going to change that to the date I sent my invoice, which is not recommended to place on an invoice, but you can if you want to. ForNAV will let you. The reason I used this really big sentence is because I wanted to show you what happens when I don't really have enough space for my new caption. So I'm going to override my document date with the date I sent my invoice. So let's preview the report. And if I preview this, you will notice that ForNAV changes the caption to the date I send my invoice, only it doesn't have enough space to place the entire sentence. So let's go and have a look inside ForNAV and see what we can do about this to make our new caption fit automatically. If I open this report in the ForNAV Designer, I'm going to find my document date. The first thing I'm going to do is make the field yellow so it stands out a little bit. Let's do the same with the number. So the reason that this caption doesn't quite fit is because the text box is just not big enough for my entire text. Now there's a couple of things I can do with this. ForNAV has a couple of things inside these text box properties to make my text fit, and I'm going to show you 3 of them. And I'm going to start with the can grow property. And the can grow property is right here in the text box properties. If I switch this over to yes, it goes red and it says control must have the alignment set to top left. So I'm going to set the alignment to top left as it tells me. What can grow does, it will grow your text box or table or even an entire section to match the value that's inside it. And it will do that by growing to the right first and then starting to grow down. So what I would expect to happen right now is that my document date will start growing to the right and give me enough space to fit my entire text. So let's preview this inside Business Central. And grab an English invoice so you can all read what's on the page. And right now you will notice that the caption has been changed to the date I sent my invoice, and the text box has grown to exactly the same size as my text. So that's great. If I were to preview this for a Dutch invoice, let's try that, where if you remember we did not change the captions. You will notice that the text box has not grown, but it doesn't shrink either. It has its standard size and it doesn't shrink to the size of your text. So can grow is the first way of making our captions fit. I promise you two more, so let's reset this. Neat trick inside ForNAV: if you right click property and hit reset, it resets it to the default value. So I'm going to reset can grow, and I'm going to use a new property called autofit, which is a really nice property. And autofit kind of does the opposite of can grow. Can grow grows the text box in order to match your text. Can autofit will shrink your text in order to match your text box. So it does pretty much the opposite. And to demonstrate what it does, there you go. You will notice that the text box now is its original size, and the text still fits, but if you look closely, I'll zoom in a little bit further. If you look closely, you will notice that the text has been shrunk slightly in order to make it fit the text box. Now, this is a really great property. It does really well, but the bigger your text gets, the bigger the mismatch is going to be, the smaller the text is going to be, and at some point it's going to be really noticeable that the text doesn't quite fit the text box and the text is a smaller font than the standard text. Nevertheless, it's a great feature in order to fit all of your captions, especially if you work with multiple languages, where some texts are just slightly bigger than other text. If you have Dutch or German text, the captions are usually longer than the English ones, and this helps you kind of to shrink everything and make everything fit automatically without messing about forever. Then finally, we have one last way of making something fit, and that is the multi-line property. I'm going to reset the autofit, and I'm going to set the multi-line to yes. And the multi-line property will break off a normal text, and it will move that text into the next line, really. So let's preview this. And you will notice that right now the invoice doesn't fit in my text box, so it just breaks up the text and it moves invoice to below. And right now I have a text that has spaces, so ForNAV will always try to break off your text inside a space. If I don't have spaces, then obviously we use the soft hyphen like the enumerator, that text that we used right there, in order to tell ForNAV where to break off the text. So that means we also now know how these line captions work. If I close this and go back to ForNAV, you will notice that in line captions my text boxes all have the property multi-line set to yes. And we do that inside all of the ForNAV standard reports because we need to make sure that these reports are translated to all of the Business Central languages, and the multi-line property helps us in doing so. So those are the three ways of making sure your captions fit inside of your text boxes. Finally, we want to make these layout changes on all of our sales documents. In order to do this, we don't have to manually edit all of our documents. You may have noticed that I've edited the sales template. All the changes we make to the sales template will automatically be inherited by all of the other sales documents. So make sure I've saved these changes. In ForNAV you can preview without saving changes, but I've saved these, which means that if I'm inside Business Central, if I refresh, you will notice the sales template now uses a custom report layout, and that means that if I run one of the other sales documents like the invoice, which still uses the built-in layout, my changes will have inherited automatically. And if I run the credit memo, If I run the credit memo, you will notice that some changes will happen automatically, like the yellow boxes that I've added in the screen, and the document date will also be automatically changed to use the multi-line. Only my captions have not changed automatically. My number right here is still NR dot, and that is because in my ForNAV language I have changed the number for the table 113 sales invoice line, but not yet for the sales credit memo. So I can change that as well. So I'll grab Dutch, use table 115, which is the sales credit memo line, field number 6, and I will copy my Dutch text here. I use Dutch because I don't have an English credit memo inside this database. So run the credit memo again. And that changes the NR dot to the vernumerair weird bit of text that we've decided to use inside our caption. So let's recap what we just did. We set out to demonstrate that with ForNAV you don't need to spend ages in trying to get your captions to fit. We showed this by changing the table captions and by breaking up the long text in a sensible place. Then we demonstrated that you can set your text boxes to can grow, auto-fit or multi-line to avoid the hassle of making everything fit in various languages. Finally, we demonstrated that you don't need to change all your documents manually. When you change a template, all the linked documents will change automatically. We have in-depth videos detailing the ForNAV language, text box properties and templates. You can find them in a list of the recorded coffee breaks. We don't have any questions at the moment, so I'm going to finish with wrapping up this coffee break. If you want to know more about ForNAV, or if you want to download the ForNAV Designer and Converter, please visit our website. If you want to install ForNAV in Business Central Cloud, please visit the Microsoft App Source. You can watch more videos about ForNAV on our YouTube channel. If you have any questions about ForNAV, please email them to support@fornav.com. Finally, for a full list of upcoming coffee breaks, please visit fornav.com/coffeebreaks. Thank you very much for listening, and goodbye. I will speak to you in the next coffee break.